Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Marilyn Lau, and I am with the USC Viterbi School of Engineering Admissions and Student Engagement team. So it is my pleasure to welcome you today to our Spotlight series, where we will be highlighting our MS in Analytics program. So we are joined by Professor Bruce Wilcox, who will be sharing information on this program, and we will be going through some frequently asked questions. So thank you so much, Professor Wilcox, for joining us and for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so just some quick facts and some housekeeping rules. For those of you who are joining the live session, I do want to mention that I will be following up in a couple of business days, so you will receive a copy of today's presentation deck. And for those of you who are watching this webinar at a later time, please do note that the content that we are discussing is from Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. And we always recommend for you to visit our website for the most updated information. In terms of asking questions, we do highly encourage everyone to engage and ask their questions that you might have. You can do so by typing it in the Q&A or the chat box. And we will also be leaving some time at the end of the session to answer your questions as well. So today's program, I will be talking about the Viterbi School of Engineering, and then we'll be having our spotlight session with Professor Wilcox. And then we'll go through some frequently asked questions. And then I'll talk about the different delivery method and enrollment options that we have here within USC Viterbi. And then we'll go ahead and conclude with a Q&A session. So a little bit of history about USC. So for those of you who aren't aware, we are the oldest private university in the Western United States. So we were founded back in 1880. We do have over 47,000 students, over 4,700 full-time faculty members, a very diverse student population. So our students come from all different walks of life, whether they're on-campus students or online students, and we are located in Los Angeles. Viterbi School is made up of 8 academic departments. We do have over 6,800 graduate students, and this does include our master's students, so both of our on-campus students, online Dana Viterbi students, graduate certificate students, and PhD students. We have over 213 tenure-track faculty, 16 full-time, and 34 total TT&E members, and over 100 National Science Foundation Career National Presidential Young Investigator. And then comes research. So we are really proud to say that Viterbi School is the leader in funded research. So we do have over 35 research centers across, mainly the LA area, and more than $177 million are invested in research expenditures on an annual basis. All right, so I would love to introduce you guys to the program director of the analytics program. So we have Dr. Bruce Wilcox. So a little bit about Professor Wilcox. In terms of his academic background, he got his bachelor's and his master's in electrical engineering from CMU, and he also holds an MBA from UCLA. And he also has his PhD from the Claremont Graduate University. Professor Wilcox has nearly 40 years of industry experience in consulting and systems integration. And the last 8 years, he has been working as an analytics consulting with SAS. In terms of university background, he has spent many semesters of doing part-time teaching at Long Beach State and here at USC. He has been a full-time faculty at USC since fall 2021. And he is the director of our MS Analytics program since fall 2024. So thank you so much. And so this is Professor Wilcox.
Thank you, Marilyn, and greetings, everybody from Southern California. As Marilyn said, I am the director of the analytics program here in the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department at the Viterbi School of Engineering. I thought I would start by talking, many of you may not be particularly familiar with industrial and systems engineering departments. They're not unusual, but they're not everywhere either. Broadly speaking, I think of industrial and systems engineering as the application of advanced engineering tools and technologies to improve business processes, business quality, to solve business problems. So all engineering is applied, but industrial and systems engineering is particularly applied toward optimizing business operations. Traditionally, it has been founded based on operations research and optimization type disciplines, and analytics has been a natural extension for our and other industrial and systems engineering departments across the country for at least the last 20 years. Analytics, I think, is particularly well suited to to an industrial and systems engineering department because of its focus on using data and data technologies and data science to improve business operations. My second bullet there, it's inherently a multidisciplinary field. It largely, I think, of incorporating mathematics, primarily statistics, with programming and with business analysis. So it's an interesting combination of three overlapping but distinct disciplines. And as such, our master's students, incoming master's students, come from undergraduate backgrounds and professional backgrounds representing all of these disciplines. Certainly, we have a lot of people who have studied computer science and worked in that end of the industry, or are trained to. We have the statistics people, and then we have also a number of social science type background people that finance, accounting, marketing that have a strong quantitative background. So our incoming master's cohorts, our students are actually fairly diverse in their backgrounds. Go ahead, Marilyn. I thought I would preemptively answer a question I get asked all the time, which is analytics and data science. There are lots of master's programs in data science, and Viterbi has one, a very good one as well, in our computer science department. What is the difference between an analytics and a data science program? Well, first comment is, in most people's minds, there's not much difference. They're umbrella terms. But that encompass and use a lot of the same tools and technologies. I'll list some of the key ones there: the tools, Python, SQL, R, Tableau, cloud platforms, and then the various modeling and other algorithmic technologies. So there's a fair amount of overlap in the tools and technologies, but a very distinct emphasis on what they're used for. Analytics in general, going back to the definition from the previous slide of what industrial and systems engineering is about using these data technologies and tools to improve business processes, enhance decision making and operational efficiency. Data science, in my view, is focused using the same sort of technologies, but based on developing advanced data products and solutions. So very similar technologies. Our sister department that teaches data science, a lot of our students take classes there, and a lot of their students take classes in our program. But I wanted to preemptively answer that question because I get that one all the time. Okay, next, please. So, I'm obviously here to talk about the benefits of analytics programs, and per my previous slide, it has a very broad application. That first bullet there, our graduates get employed in virtually every industry, and companies of all sizes, certainly larger to mid-sized companies primarily, but everybody now, all industries, all companies are trying to do a better job at using their data to better manage their businesses. The second bullet there, it's exciting for a lot of our students. They're act directly with business stakeholders of all types. Their analyses help influence business decisions and outcomes. A number of our students go into consulting, which of course is an extension of that. I actually usually say that all analytics jobs are consulting jobs in a sense, because even if you are in-house at a large corporation, you're usually on an analytics team, going by various names, and you're consulting to internal business clients, if you will, business stakeholders. Skills are applicable across all the. I listed some of the industries there: finance, marketing, healthcare, more. I don't have any statistics. I probably should. Healthcare and finance are big employers of our graduates, as well as the traditional data type industries. And I guess that last bullet is a little bit redundant with an earlier bullet, but working closely with business stakeholders, offering opportunities, and the need to develop strong communications and business skills as well. The best analytics professionals, those who move up in an organization over time, develop real strength at all three of those basic disciplines of statistics, of programming, but also of business analysis. They need to get, and they do get to know their business very well, in addition to the technical skills. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Wilcox. So let's go through now some frequently asked questions. So the first question I have for you is, what type of courses are part of the MS in analytics?
Okay, thank you. So our program has a 28-unit requirement for graduation. Most of our classes are 4-credit classes, so that amounts to seven classes to complete the master's degree. Mm-hmm. We have 3 required classes that are listed here, and they're taken generally at the beginning of the program. Mm-hmm. They're listed there: predictive analytics, the basics of the modeling, optimization methods for analytics, kind of the mathematical underpinning of analytics, and fundamentals of data engineering. Data engineering is a popular job title. A lot of our graduates get jobs as data engineers. Mm-hmm. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But the basic skills in exploring data, in preparing data, and generally extracting data from wherever it lives in the organization and getting it into a form suitable for subsequent analytics. So those 3 courses are meant to set the foundation. Mm-hmm. Group A courses, a minimum of 1 selected from here. These are project-focused classes. Maybe not totally obvious from the titles, but these are larger, not a capstone, but a similar idea. They involve new theoretical content, but the emphasis of these classes is a large semester-long project, and we think that's important. I think that's the best way to really learn the field, is to do deep project work. And also our students like that because having realistic, large-scale projects on their resume and to talk about in interviews is a very good job skill as well. Mm-hmm. So those are the kind of the basics. And then we have a number of elective classes to choose from. And I have subdivided them here. This is not a formal distinction here. But when I look at the jobs that our graduates are pursuing and are obtaining, I kind of group them into 3 categories. First one, data engineering and machine learning engineering. You could argue they ought to be separate, but I think there's enough overlap that I can include them. Data engineering, the discipline of preparing the data for subsequent analytical modeling or dashboarding or reporting. And we have 2 classes in that, electives: fundamentals of data engineering and enterprise cloud analytics, focus on that's a little bit more of the machine learning engineering on cloud platforms. We currently are using the Google Cloud platform, but we study and learn about all the different major commercial platforms out there. Second direction our students go is traditional data science. These are the more algorithmic, more mathematically focused people. And you can see the list of electives there. I'm not going to read through the list, although I'm happy to take any questions on it. I do want to highlight the last item on that: data science, large language models, and generative artificial intelligence, because that's what everybody's talking about these days. We've thought a lot about what we ought to be teaching our students around the topic of AI and large language models. And we've concluded that we're not going to be teaching them how to make a better large language model, how to train these models. What we're going to be teaching them is how to use them, how to use them to solve business problems and to enhance business operations. So it's a more applied, I don't know if that's quite the right word, but that's the focus of that class. Many of you are probably aware, there's basically a new job category that's popping up a lot now, AI engineer. And this class is meant to prepare. These are the people that use large language, that use AI broadly to develop applications. And the third is a data analysis. These are more the business focused type classes. Data analytics consulting, data mining are more generalized topics. And then financial and health analytics are specialized to two of the primary industries that many of our students or some of our students wish to focus on. So the students pick 3 classes basically from this list. We do have some flexibility. A real benefit of a large school like USC is we also allow you to consider electives from other departments if you have specialized interests. Okay. As is just here, partly for reference, this is kind of my list as well as we've designed our curriculum. What are the core tools in analytics? I got up in the upper left there, mandatory. These are the core tools that are taught generally in the first semester. Well, not Excel. We don't teach Excel. I debate whether or not R and tidyverse ought to be still on that list or not. It's certainly dropping in popularity compared to Python and Pandas, and we are more and more focusing all of our classes to use Python. I have annotated the various tools with classes that use specific tools. So the second, business intelligence, dashboarding in particular. We teach Tableau in one of the elective classes. A lot of entry-level analytics positions are doing dashboarding, and that's a good way to start. That's a good way to start a career in analytics. Powerful tools, not too hard to use once you're trained in basic data technologies, and add a lot of value to businesses. Upper right, cloud platforms. More and more analytics and data science are moving to be cloud platform based as opposed to operating on your local laptop or a local computer. And I've listed over there some of the major platforms. And as I mentioned earlier, we are currently focusing on Google Cloud and its Vertex AI environment for our teaching, because it appears to be the leader in our view for analytics type applications. And then lastly, cloud data platforms on the lower right. I guess you could say these are probably merging with cloud analytics platforms, but they are distinctive enough. Our required data management class, data engineering class, uses Snowflake. Some of you may be familiar with Snowflake, a major cloud database, data warehouse vendor. And we also use Google's BigQuery, which is also a cloud-based database and a competitor to Snowflake. One of the things that we emphasize here in the program is getting you exposed to the popularly used, or broadly used is a better word, broadly used technologies in industry, to help you prepare you for future careers or new positions in analytics. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wilcox. So kind of then riding on to the next question is, what type of academic background are you looking for in a successful applicant to the MS in Analytics program? And who are some of the typical types of students that are in this program?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. As I kind of alluded to earlier in my little talk here, we get students from a wide variety of backgrounds, because analytics is itself inherently an interdisciplinary topic. We certainly, we're an engineering school, and this is an engineering degree, and so a solid STEM background is important. But we don't limit ourselves to only engineering majors or mathematics majors. As I mentioned earlier, we get a number of social science undergraduate backgrounds. Now, they need to have a reasonably strong quantitative background. They need to have some programming, some mathematics and statistics coursework. But I would say, and I don't have numbers in front of me either, but I would almost break it down into maybe a third of our students come from that background, social science with STEM coursework, and another third or so perhaps from a more of statistics, mathematics point of view, and general engineering, I should say, and then maybe a third from computer science perspective. So it's an interesting combination. And in the first semester of our full-time program, or the first couple of classes of a part-time program, we make sure that we get all of the students to a constant base level in all three of those disciplines.
Thank you. Okay, so in terms of the application requirements for the MS in analytics, so kind of as what Professor Wilcox talked about, the academic background could be pretty diverse, but individuals do need to have a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution. So for the application process, you do need to submit digital official transcripts from all colleges and universities attended. Although not a requirement, but to be competitive, we do recommend having at least a undergraduate GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. The GRE is not required for fall 2025 Viterbi graduate degree applications. I will be talking about a potential application extension for our online Dana Viterbi students for fall 2025. For those of you who may be interested for 2026 application terms. So it has not yet been announced whether the GRE is required for 2026 admission. So we do recommend to visit our website around the summer timeline because that's when it will be announced. All of the graduate programs, including the MS in Analytics, does also require a resume to be submitted as well as a personal statement. Letter recommendations are optional, but we do recommend to submit letter recommendations because generally speaking, they can help strengthen your application holistically. And for those of you who are international applicants, you would also need to submit your TOEFL or IELTS exam scores and meet the English language proficiency requirements set by USC. Okay, so Professor Wilcox, what type of job opportunities can graduates of this program expect to pursue after they have completed, or if they're looking to make a pivot within the industry?
Yeah, another great question here. Obviously, that's what our students primarily are focused on, is getting professional positions after graduation. In a couple slides back, I talked about kind of three broad types of job categories: data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist. I've already kind of spoken to what that's all about. Consultants, a number of our students do go into consulting firms. We have students, alumni, I should say, working for major consulting firms and more specialized analytics consulting firms. Machine learning engineering, MLE, another hot job title these days, is all about using primarily cloud platforms and focusing on the deployment end of the life cycle. Basically, you think about data engineers are all about all of the processes to prepare data for modeling or dashboarding or other reporting. And machine learning engineers tend to focus on the latter part of the life cycle, which is deploying models into production, monitoring models while they're in operation, retraining models, and in recent years we've been getting some students getting positions in that as well. But broadly, students are always asking me what job titles should I be searching for on LinkedIn or wherever it is they're doing their job search, and that's a hard one because there's a long list. I say almost anything with the word data in it, and or analyst or those are the primary ones. Business intelligence analyst, business intelligence engineer. Business intelligence is a little bit of an older term, but it's still very applicable, and there's still a lot of job titles out there with that. And software engineering, broadly speaking, particularly if you come in with an undergraduate degree, a common in software engineering or computer science. The combination of that undergraduate background with an analytics master's is, I think, a particularly powerful combination for job searching or moving up into an organization. On the left, on the right, industries, the whole range. I think, just my observations, healthcare, finance. We get students alumni working in technology companies as well. That's more of a data science focus, but there's so much overlap in the two. Of course, being in Los Angeles, a number of students, alumni, end up working in the entertainment industry. They're becoming bigger and bigger users of analytics. So I really can't narrow it down by industries because, as I said earlier, every industry employs analytics people.
Thank you for that, Professor. All right, so can I pursue the MS in Analytics online? So there are two ways for students to pursue the analytics program. So we have on campus, which is at USC's campus, and it would be when students are primarily studying on a full-time basis. And so you would take maybe 3 classes, 4 classes per semester, and the average time for years of completion is around 1.5 to 2 years. And then we have online through Dana Viterbi, which is more on a part-time basis. So, for the analytics program, this program actually, has started doing online delivery through Dana Viterbi since fall 2024. And it is a really flexible delivery method for individuals who are working professionals. And so students tend to be taking around 1 to 2 classes per semester, and it can take them around 2.5 to 3 years to complete their degree. So how does our online delivery method, Dana Viterbi, work? So the Viterbi School of Engineering uses a state-of-the-art proprietary web-based delivery system, and it really enables our students from all over the world to access classes in 2 ways. So you can watch classes live as it's happening by streaming in, or you could watch it on demand afterwards as a recording on your own time. So USC Viterbi has been doing distance education learning since 1972. So we do have over 50 years of experience in the distance education arena. So Dana Viterbi students do view the same lectures as on-campus student. The content is fresh every semester. Dana Viterbi students do also have a physical seat in every class that they enroll in. So for example, if you are, let's say you're a working professional and you are, working in the nearby LA area, and you want to sit in on a class, after work, and you're more than welcome to do so, but it's not a requirement whatsoever because we do understand, the schedule of a working professional with LA traffic, you may not be able to make it on time. So you do have this flexibility. As an online Dana Viterbi student, you will still participate in highly interactive discussions with your professor and your peers. So, you are able to call in live and, ask questions to Professor Wilcox, and he'll be able to respond back to you. So there is still that interactivity. And you will still submit homework. You will submit homework electronically. So when it comes to exams, so exams is a little bit different. So as an online student, you will need to take your exams at a proctor testing center located either near your home or your work. But if you are residing in the LA, Orange, or Ventura counties, then you will be expected to come and take your exams at USC's campus. So this is how a Dana Viterbi classroom looks like at USC's campus. So all of the lectures are done on campus within a DEN classroom. And within every DEN classroom, we do have our colleagues who act as a moderator or a host who sit in the back of the class to make sure that the lectures are captured and recorded, from all different angles for our Dana Viterbi students who are watching the lectures live or as a recording afterwards. And as you can see as well, there are also students who are sitting in the classroom as well with the professor. So it could be, you guys could be sitting in the class with Professor Wilcox, for example. So this slide here just kind of gives a quick snapshot in terms of the differences between an online student and an on-campus student. The program admissions is the same. You still need to submit the USC graduate application and the required materials that we talked about in the previous slides. Weekly course lectures is online with interactivity for online students, whereas on-campus students are sitting and attending lectures at USC's campus. Having access to the online course archives for the lectures and course documents. Dana Viterbi students have access to this. On-campus students may have access to this if they are enrolled in a DEN class. However, do note that students only have access to the lecture course archives for that specific semester of that class that they are enrolled in. Assignments are submitted electronically for online students, but as you can see on this slide, the course deadline dates are the same despite the delivery modality that you are in. Exams are at a proctor location for Dan Viterbi students, whereas on-campus students are at USC's campus. However, as I mentioned briefly, if you are a Dan student but you reside in the LA, Orange, or Ventura counties, you will have to come to USC's campus to take your exams. Courses per semester is where it differs a bit. So as mentioned, majority of our online Dan Viterbi students are working professionals. So they tend to pursue their degree on a part-time basis, taking maybe around 1 to 2 classes per semester. The degree completion requirements is the same. So for the MS in Analytics program, it is 28 units, and you do need to have at least a 3.0 GPA or above. So ultimately, when you complete your degree, when you complete your program, your diploma is not going to have any indication that you are an online student or an on-campus student. It is the same degree that you will be earning. It's just the delivery modality is different. So some additional information about the enrollment options that we have. So we do have another enrollment option, which is called limited status. So limited status is a way for strong individuals with a strong academic background to take classes before submitting an application for formal admissions. However, individuals do need to have an undergraduate degree in engineering, math, or hard science with at least a 3.0 GPA. Students can only take a maximum of 12 units as a limited status student. And the classes that they take can be applied towards a degree program if they are admitted, but limited status does not guarantee formal admissions. I'll talk in the next couple of slides some potential classes that you can take within the analytics program as a limited status student, and then those courses, if you apply to the analytics program afterwards and you're admitted, those courses would be transferable over upon departmental approval. And so you can actually get started as early as summer 2025 as a limited status student, and the summer term does begin next month. There is no application that you would need to submit for that. And for those of you who are working professionals and you do have employer reimbursement, so we do have what we call the Employer Reimbursement Deferment Program. So this is when a student is supported by a company, you can defer your payment of up to 90% of tuition until after the semester is over. To be eligible for this, first and foremost, your employer does have to reimburse you for tuition at the end of each term, and your student account has to be current. There are some kind of housekeeping, administrative work that you will need to do as a student before the settlement deadline of each term. And that is to complete and submit your deferment application, pay 10% of tuition, 100% of all fees, and a $100 application fee, and sign and submit your promissory note packet and send it to uscsfs@usc.edu. Okay, so kind of as I mentioned, there are 2 courses that you can take as a limited status student, within the analytics required courses. So the first suggested one is ISC 529, which is the predictive analysis. So Professor Wilcox, would you mind sharing with us a little bit more about, what this course kind of entails?
Sure. As I said earlier, this is one of our core classes. It's required, generally taken in the first semester of the program. And this is the basic predictive modeling class. This covers linear regression types models, which many of you probably have had background almost certainly in basic regression, but it goes a lot deeper than the typical undergraduate class in linear models. And then we get into the more computational, the more machine learning type models, the decision tree models, support vector machines, and ensemble models, if you know any of these buzzwords, and neural networks, and introducing deep learning. So it's basically the kind of the core class it's a prerequisite for our more advanced and data science related classes on analytical modeling, predictive modeling, and it sets the framework. It sets the framework for the future classes.
Thank you. And then the next one that is also a suggested course, as to be a limited status student, is ISC 558, which is the Fundamentals of Data Engineering. Professor Wilcox, would you be able to elaborate a little bit more on this one as well?
Sure, sure. So this is also a required class taken generally in the first or second semester. It's sort of it's a class we want every student to take because the basics of data engineering are core to what analytics people do to collect, clean, analyze, prepare data. And so we call the class Fundamentals of Data Engineering because it's the basics of that discipline, but also then sets the groundwork for taking more advanced classes for students who wish to specialize or focus in data engineering. It covers SQL. Many have heard of SQL, structured query language, which is one of the core tools in analytics. Old language, but still very popular and still very important. It covers data modeling. It covers data warehousing. It covers semi-structured data, and it covers data preparation for analytics as kind of the last step in that life cycle. So prepare and structure data for subsequent use by data scientists and data analysts.
Thank you, Professor Wilcox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit now about the graduate engineering and computer science tuition rates. So this slide here just kind of breaks down a little bit between the kind of shows you what our current academic year per unit tuition rate is for those of you who may be interested in being a limited status student for summer. But then for those of you who are interested in applying for fall 2025 or spring 2026, the per unit rate as well has been released, and also gives you idea as to what the tuition is for a 3-unit course versus the tuition for a 4-unit course as well. So the tuition is the same for on-campus and online students, and it is also subject to change without notice. So we always recommend for you to look on our website for the most updated and current tuition fees. So a question that we do get often is, do you offer any scholarships or financial aid? So for those of you who are interested in being an online Dana Viterbi student, we do have a Dana Viterbi scholarship that is available. It is a merit-based scholarship, and it is awarded to outstanding students who are pursuing a master's program fully online via Dana Viterbi. So the scholarship detail is that, first of all, it is a partial scholarship. So if you are awarded, you can receive between 1 to 4 units of tuition. You must be pursuing a master's program fully online and also receive partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from your employer. So the funding that you are awarded has to be used within the academic year, and applicants can reapply each academic year for a future scholarship consideration. In terms of eligibility for the scholarship, you do need to be either a newly admitted student or have an admissions application on file. And you do need to have an undergraduate GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. So the fall 2025 scholarship deadline for the Dana Viterbi scholarship is on Wednesday, June 25th. And you can find more information as well as the application form itself on our website. And for those of you who are either a active duty military or veteran, we do have some funding and scholarships available as well. For those of you who are active duty military, we do have the USC Viterbi Active Duty Military Scholarship. So this is a partial scholarship ranging from 1 to 4 units of tuition for US active duty military of all military branches. And you can be pursuing either a master's or a graduate certificate program, either online or on USC's campus, as well as receiving partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from the military or your current employer. So the scholarship deadline as well is also on Wednesday, June 25th. So in addition, USC Viterbi also provides an unlimited number of yellow ribbon awards to eligible veteran and active duty candidates who are entitled to the 100% post 9/11 benefit rate. The VA will also match the amount provided by USC Viterbi. And lastly, for those of you who are veterans, we do have the USC Show and Family Scholarship for Veterans. So this is for USC Viterbi incoming and continuing graduate students. You are eligible to apply. You must be admitted and enrolled immediately in courses on a full-time basis and must have received an honorable discharge from the U.S. Armed Forces and served a minimum of 3 years continuous full-time active duty since 2003. Okay, so if you guys have decided that you want to pursue the MS in analytics and you want to know, okay, any tips on getting started? So as mentioned, for fall 2025, we are able to grant an application extension on a case-by-case basis for online Dana Viterbi students who do not require a student visa sponsorship, such as an F1 or I-20. So please email me at danaviterbi.usc.edu for more information on this application extension, and we can work together on getting your application submitted for the fall term. Or if you're also interested in getting started as a limited status student in summer, please email me as well. And I am hosting some limited status webinars coming up. So then you could join those to learn more about getting started as a limited status student. And in terms of the next steps, we always recommend for you to also review the application criteria page on our program, on our website, by heading over to the program page as well. And you'll be able to click on the application criteria and it will tell you all the necessary information and materials that you do need to submit as part of your application. So for those of you who are interested in taking classes on campus, you can visit USC's campus virtually, and you can also go and, start your application for formal admissions. However, the spring 2026 application term is not yet open, and the fall deadline has closed already for on-campus delivery modality. But again, for those of you interested in being an online Dana Viterbi student, we are still accepting applications for fall. And again, you can get started as a limited status student as early as summer 2025. Okay, so I'm going to allow some time for individuals to pop in questions. I did see some come through, so let me go ahead and read them out loud. So one is, so I was recently admitted to the MS of Applied Data Science program, but I'm not sure if this program is a better fit. Is there a way to compare the programs? So Professor Wilcox, not sure if you could elaborate a little bit more.
Get that question all the time, and it's understandable because, as I said earlier, the titles, even analytics and data science, people use them interchangeably, and it's just why I tried to early on kind of explain how I saw the difference between analytics and data science broadly. First, congratulations on your admissions into the data science program. Applied Data Science program. It's taught by our colleagues across the street here on campus in the computer science department. And to be honest, the classes have a lot of, I don't want to, overlap isn't probably a good word, but they cover a lot of the same material, as I alluded to earlier. Data science analytics use a lot of the same algorithms, the same mathematics, the same tools. It's really a difference in focus. So I would say that as I said earlier, the focus of analytics is more on the application of these tools, technologies, and models, as opposed to building them to become products in and of themselves. Now, having said that, our students get jobs in a traditional data science role, and their students get jobs in traditional analytics roles. So if I had to kind of generalize, the question was, is there a way to compare the programs? From my observations, I'm not an expert on the applied data science classes, but I'm familiar with several of them. And they're certainly more programming focused. If you're a computer science person with a strong programming focus, you might feel more that might feel more familiar to you. Our classes tend to be focused more on the mathematical, I should say, statistical underpinning of the models, and then the application. A lot of our classes focus on, how do we learn from data? I'm teaching a class now called data mining. Data mining is all about how do we mine insights? How do we get insights from a mountain of data? And so it's how do we analyze data to learn things about the business, or whatever entity is generating the data, and then use those insights to improve their operations. So I don't know, it's kind of a rambling answer here. Feel free to ask a follow-up, but if I would summarize it, I would say less focus on the hardcore programming, more focus on the applications and the underlying statistics.
Sir. So one of the questions that we had was, could we take electives offered from other schools in USC? I know you touched upon this and mentioned that, it may be possible to take electives from other Viterbi schools, in terms of other academic departments in Viterbi. So I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah.
Upon departmental approval, of course.
Yeah, with departmental approval, and we are pretty liberal at approving, one or two electives that are a little bit outside the major. In addition, the obvious are the applied data science and the computer science classes, and a number of students take classes there. Those students that want to dig deeper into the algorithmic aspects of some of the topics and technologies. Our business school, Marshall School of Business, has a master's in business analytics, and some of our students take elective classes there. Those obviously are more interested in the business analysis aspect of our field. So those are the two primary schools, computer science and the business school, where students take electives. We have let's see, it's time to talk about other schools. The Annenberg School of Communications. Some students are interested in the data and analytics aspects of communications. Our healthcare programs in both our main college as well as our medical school. Sometimes occasionally students will take classes there that are data focused. That doesn't happen very often. But if it is related in some way to the topic of analytics, we do encourage students to explore and to take advantage of the great benefits that a large university like USC has to offer.
Thank you. And then, the next question is, what's the estimated length of the program? So kind of as what we talked about in the previous slides, it really depends on how many classes you take per semester. So if you are, studying on a full-time basis, which is maybe 3 to 4 courses per semester, generally speaking, we see students completing the program in 1.5 to 2 years. But for those of you who are working full-time and you're studying on a part-time basis by taking 1 to 2 classes per semester, generally speaking, on average, we do see students completing the program between 2.5 to 3 years.
Yeah, actually, Marilyn, if I could, I don't want to disagree with you. Our program might be a little bit different than some of the others that you deal with. It is, as of was a year or two ago, all our courses are now 4 credits. So 2 courses are considered a full-time load. 8 credits for a graduate degree. Now, some of our students do take 3 classes. That's a pretty heavy load, 3 4-credit classes. But that's possible as well. Most of our full-time students take two classes per semester and finish in 3 or 4 semesters. So if you're working full-time, 2 classes would be, if you're working full-time, 2 classes would be a pretty heavy load. It's doable, but I think 1 would be a more normal load.
Yes, no, definitely. And just kind of adding to what you said as well, we usually recommend for working professionals to start off first with 1 class to balance out, working full time, also studying, and then depending on their own workload, if they're able to take on another class, then they can go ahead and take on another class that next semester. Perfect. Okay, so another question is, what are extracurriculum resources that students can involve in to improve their skills, such as student clubs, case competition, or research assistantship?
Oh, I like that question because this is my first full year now as a director of this program, and I've been trying to augment the things that we offer. One of the things we're trying to leverage is our Our, USC has an incredible network of alumni, and that includes our analytics program. So this past year, we've held monthly alumni panel discussions where we've had 4 or 5 alumni come back an early evening, serve some pizza, and let them talk to the students about their experience in getting jobs and what their first jobs were like. We had a senior alumni who's currently the chief data scientist at Toyota North America come back and give a talk as well. So trying to leverage a lot the business connection for networking purposes, both for education and for potential placement in future positions. Some of you may be aware, others not. USC alumni are fanatical about helping each other out. It's something to see. I'm not an alumni. I wish I was here. But let me see. Did I cover everything here? We have just started this year an analytics masters students association, and they are planning a variety of social events and networking events next week. We're having an end of the year mixer where we're inviting back the alumni and current students. Expect to have probably 100, 120 people there in a more casual setting where the students can get to know the alumni and ask them questions and generally get to know each other. What were the other, Marilyn, the student had some other, for example.
Yeah, so case competitions and research assistantship.
Okay, let me start with the second one first. Research assistant positions. A number of our master students work with faculty we call it directed research. You can do that for credit or on a volunteer basis. For this program, we generally don't have funding to pay for research assistants. That's largely a PhD level program. But a significant number of our students do work. I'm working with about a dozen students right now this semester on directed research type activities. Case competitions. There's been a bit of that. Last year the Viterbi Graduate Student Association sponsored a case competition where actually we teamed up engineering students with business school students from our Marshall School of Business. And they formed teams and made case presentations and pitches basically for new product ideas. That's something we should probably do more of. I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you for that question to our attendee. And thank you, Professor, for your response. So we do have another question that came through. It says, what ISE courses, electives, would be most relevant for operations research and optimization topics?
Oh, my department chair will love that question because he's an operations research guy, as is much of our faculty. I mean, the department was founded in optimization, and there are a number of classes. They weren't largely on the elective list that I gave you, but there are a number of optimization and operations research elective classes. You can get a master's degree in operations research. That's a separate program, which we're not talking about today. But those electives absolutely count towards as electives here for this program. And I'm stalling here a little bit because I'm trying to remember course names and numbers. And I think if it's possible, Marilyn, I can follow up with some course information.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so let's see if there's any. I don't see any other questions that have come through. So Professor Wilcox, are there anything else that you would like to add and share with everyone before we go ahead and wrap up this spotlight series?
Yeah, no, I think we've covered what I kind of wanted to convey. So what I want to emphasize is that our students, it's a tough job market out there for a lot of people, but our students are doing well in getting placements. And we have some data on that. We'll be updating our website here before too long with some updated placement data, but they're doing well at getting positions in established, recognizable and high quality companies in analytics type roles around the country. Our program is focused heavily on enabling that. We know that most of our students are not in the master's program to move on to a PhD. They're moved up. They're in the program to enter a professional position or enhance their current career. And so our courses are really designed with that in mind. And So I guess, yeah, that's what I want to emphasize. You know, as I mentioned earlier, we try our best to keep very current. The courses are changing every year. It's not like teaching, I don't know, calculus, where you can use the same material year after year. Every year we're trying to update and keep our courses current, using the latest technologies and tools and platforms. And I guess the other thing I'd like to say is that, you know, my email address is there. On an earlier page, I have my website, which has some more background information on me if you're interested. If you have any questions after this, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to answer by email, or if you'd like, I'd be happy to set up a call with you and discuss your questions in more interactive form.
Thank you, Professor. And just wanting to add on as well, which I actually didn't mention in the previous slides, is so our online students do have they have access to the same resources as our on-campus students. So kind of touching upon, career opportunities. So our online students do have access to our career services center as well. So we do have a career services team that works with our graduate students. So even if you are currently, working and you're looking to maybe pivot into a analytics role, you do still have access to our career services team, even as an online student. So we do recommend for you to take advantage of them as well. So thank you so much, Professor Wilcox, for your time in taking us through the analytics program. And, for everyone who is watching this webinar live, or even as a recording, we do hope that you have found all the information insightful and really informative. So, don't hesitate to email me, or, if you have questions about the application process, admissions process, online delivery method process. But then you can also reach out to Professor Wilcox as well, with any questions specific about to this program. So thank you, Professor Wilcox, once again, for joining us, and everyone else as well for attending and for your questions. I will be following up in 1 to 2 business days. So you will have a copy of this presentation deck. And yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions. Take care and stay safe. And as we say at USC, fight on.